Welcome to another edition of Take 5. It is, well, we don't worry about the date anymore. You're watching it when you watch it, all right? But I'm glad you're here. We're in Luke chapter 22, verse 7. Then came the day of unleavened bread, on which the Passover lamb had to be sacrificed. So Jesus sent Peter and John, saying, "Go and prepare the Passover for us, that we may eat it." They said to him, "Where will you have us prepare it?" He said to them, "Behold, when you have entered the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him into the house that he enters, and tell the master of the house, 'The teacher says to you, where is the guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' And he will show you a large upper room furnished. Prepare it there." And they went and found it just as he had told them, and they prepared the Passover. And when the hour came, he reclined at table, and the apostles with him. And he said to them, "I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I will not eat it until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of God." And he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he said, "Take this and divide it among yourselves. For I tell you that from now on I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes." And he took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And likewise the cup after they had eaten, saying, "This cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood. But behold, the hand of him who betrays me is with me on the table. For the Son of Man goes as it has been determined, but woe to that man by whom he is betrayed." And they began to question one another which of them it could be who was going to do this. You know, in the church I attend, we celebrate this event every week. It's the Lord's Supper. Well, what's really going on here? Well, you got to realize they were celebrating what we now know as the Lord's Supper. To them was the Passover. And for the Jewish people, this represented when the death angel passed over all of their houses during the 10th plague, the plague of the death of the firstborn. God had sent 9 plagues throughout all of Egypt, and these plagues had touched the Egyptians, but they had not touched the Jews. They had not touched God's people. But this was the worst one. This is the one in which, after this one happened, Pharaoh would finally let God's people go. But what this plague involved was every firstborn child was killed by God, except those who had taken a lamb, and this would have been God's people because they were told what to do. Taken a lamb and killed it, and put the blood on the doorposts of their house. Now, what's the symbolism here? Well, there were 2 things going on. There was a curse, a plague, so to speak, a curse, and mercy. And both involved death. The curse was on the firstborn. And thankfully, Jesus became a curse for us. It says in the scriptures, he became sin, and he became death, and he was God's firstborn son, and yet God killed him. He didn't pass over him. But the second form of the symbolism is that Passover lamb, that lamb that was sacrificed and the blood put on the post, represents God passing over our lives and not punishing us because of that blood, Jesus being that Passover lamb. So he not only was the firstborn that was killed, he also was the lamb that was sacrificed. And this is what they were celebrating. Now, unfortunately, they not only were celebrating this by eating a meal, but this was the event that eventually was going to lead. This is the last time Jesus ate with them. And Judas had already arranged to betray him. So the end is near. But anyway, these are some of the thoughts you can think about next time you take the Lord's Supper, or these are just good thoughts to think of every day, and just realize what God did. All right, He killed His own Son. He put the plague on Him, the curse on Him, and yet He passed over us because that Son was the Lamb. All right, lots more we could delve into here, but I'm way out of time, so come back tomorrow for the next edition of Take 5.